What's going on, guys? Back at it again, another video. Hit the subscribe button, like, comment, and share. I just seen an article online saying that the Army has just revised some of their policies on social media that could potentially get you kicked out the Army. So stay tuned for my thoughts and opinions on that. So on Wednesday, they just recently did some revision on the social media policy to, I guess, combat some extremist groups, especially what happened back, I think, like last year or 2 years ago with the Trump situation at the Capitol Hill, saying that they're trying to dead any situation for extremist groups. So what they end up doing is get more of a clearly defined outline on what's considered an extremist group, and also some of the guidance on prohibiting that on social media. So for example, if you even get caught even liking a social media post online that has any type of extremist views, you can get kicked out the Army. Just liking it, because it's pretty much advocating that you're endorsing what they're advocating. And my thoughts on that is, I can agree and disagree with some of the things they're saying. So anything pertaining to, I guess, neo-Nazism, anti-government stuff, they're giving a clearly established left and rights on what is defined as extremist groups, which I can totally understand. That's very key to make sure that they mitigate those situations, because they kind of had those in the past. They kind of had those situations outlined, but it wasn't clearly defined. It was kind of left to the commander discretion. So now I kind of just read some of the things on the article. Is that, as an example, they have a new set of rules that allow disciplinary actions, including being kicked out of service for knowing displaying flags and symbols or wearing clothes associated with radical causes, even off duty, which I like that. However, the knowingly is going to be what's going to get people kind of off the hook or on the hook as well. So, because what is considered knowingly is either you got to really show that you're an official member, is it documentation on that, or I can just put on a certain hat and say, oh, I don't know what this is at all. At first, they had civilian protection, even if they had their radical beliefs online. So, but in this situation now, they're updating, so even if you're off duty, you're still going to get subjected to disciplinary action. Now, I don't really disagree with any of this. Like, if you have any type of extremist views or perspectives and stuff like that, definitely making sure they get disciplinary actions. The issue is what I kind of seen what they consider, extremist groups. So, like, based on the article, but this new set of rules are more clearly outlined that extremist groups is broad and includes advocating for widespread unlawful discrimination based on race, color, national origin, religion, sex, gender identity, or sexual orientation. Again, that is left to the commander's discretion. Now, the extremist groups, I get that's easy to kind of define, but the problem is, I hope it doesn't get in a situation where you're liking certain content that can be somewhat misconstrued. Because, for example, I'm gonna go to the gender and the sex one. It's a big extremist group right now between like men and female, that dynamic right now. I know some of y'all might know what I'm talking about. Like, they do the pop the balloons, they do like a lot of little dating shows, they have little interviews, like giving people like thoughts on men and women relationships and stuff like that. And some people really have some really radical, or I guess extremist perspective on how the opposite sex is. So one situation I seen that's why I'm gonna tie it in with this situation, is that one guy on the pop balloon, you guys can look this up, he actually was acting crazy, I guess, with the women on the show, and he ended up going mega viral, and he ended up getting kicked out. He got fired from his job. He's a regular guy, he was a plumber or something like that. So that, where his perspective was very radical. So if in there's guidelines is saying that if you like their social media posts, that means you're saying that you're agreeing with what he's saying. So he can post something online about the situation, that what happened like behind the scenes, and if I like it, it's kind of saying that I'm endorsing it. So in that case, would that be considered me bound to be getting kicked out of the Army for facing those type of disciplinary actions? Again, that's the hard thing about it, is left to the commander's interpretation, and interpretation can be subjected to whoever looks at it, because that's the whole issue with putting the situation where someone is liking a social media post, because it's up to whoever's looking at it. Because some people can think about like, oh, that's not really a big deal. Some people are like, oh, whoa, he really believes that thought and opinion. I give another example. If y'all know about Rick Ross and the whole Kendrick Lamar situation and Drake. So situation, Ross actually went to Canada, right, and performed the Not Like Us song in Canada, right? And his entourage ended up getting into a fight. So it ended up going like spreading on the news, and actually Drake actually liked it. So I understand the perspective, like I said, but it's many interpretation, because some people say like, okay, he liked it, that means he agreed with Ross getting beat up, or he had something to do with Ross getting beat up, or he just like what was being seen, or that could be his favorite content creator. Who knows? It's left to interpretation on what you think about it, and that's the only issue. That is, it could be true. He could just like that Ross got beat up, or his Ross entourage got beat up, but you never know. It's interpretation is not really clearly outlined and defined, and that's where it can be a problem on the lower scale. And I hope it doesn't go into that bottom line from, okay, we get the clear-cut radical groups. Okay, they say they hate this type of people, they hate this support. Okay, cool, that's easy. But it's more like when the things kind of trickle down into, like, you know, some things that can be a little bit more subjective. Are we still going to be subjecting them to potentially getting kicked out, or them facing some type of disciplinary action for something that can be misinterpreted? Like for me, I can understand 100% that if you post something online and then unshare it, and then you put your own take on it and say, okay, yeah, I agree with this, yeah, they should do this and that, okay, cool, that should be disciplinary action, 100%. But if it's something that you simply just share, it may not be necessarily you're endorsing it. You can just be bringing awareness of it. Like, it can be a situation where soldiers online can get, like, say American soldiers killed 3 insurgents overseas. I'm not saying that as right or good. I can just be sharing it. It's bringing awareness to the situation. Should I be kicked out the army for bringing certain radical perspective if I'm not adding no context? Because you know what I'm saying. So I think long as they can, again, continue to redefine the roles of what is considered like radical, on not just on the obviously against military and also neo-Nazism and whatever, like to mitigate the Capitol Hill thing. I totally get that, Capitol Hill, whatever, Hall, whatever. But to make sure that it doesn't trickle down to the other subjective situations, like, you know, religion, sex, gender, and all that stuff, and other soldiers get kicked out just for misinterpretation based on what the commander sees and don't really understand the full context of what is being liked or shared. So let me know what you guys' opinion on this new rule. So let me know what you guys think. In your opinion, hit the subscribe button and I'm out. Go.